there, my name is James Rivas, and I'm the Baron of Arizona! Oh my goodness, I swindled everybody to be Arizona guy person. Okay, alright, I'm sorry. I don't know what's come over me. I'm trying to liven up my side of the story, and I don't know, I guess it's not working. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm Nate Jackson, the Eclipser. This is part 2 of our look at Series 5, the first films of Samuel Fuller, and this is The Baron of Arizona. 1950, 97 minutes, black and white menorah, 133, 1 aspect ratio. Yes, it's the great Vincent Price in one of his, apparently one of his favorite roles, you know, before he became the horror guy in movies like House of Wax. And if you subscribe to the animated side of TV, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, to say nothing of if you subscribe to the musical side of culture, the infamous monologue toward the end of Michael Jackson's Thriller. You know, so Vincent Price is known for a lot of different things, but this is one of his more famous roles, at least for himself. Anyway, I'm not going to talk much about the plot because it gets a little muddled in places. Basically, the whole movie's sort of told in flashbacks, and basically the movie revolves around Vincent Price playing James Addison Rivas, who is a real con artist, who I guess back in the late 19th century, in like 1800s or something like that, he basically worked his way up into he conceived this really devious plan to become the Baron of Arizona. He ended up forging all these papers. He became a monk to get hold of these papers and write them. And then years later, he married the Baroness of Arizona, who wasn't even a baroness. He convinced her and convinced them that they were part of this, that her family was, or his family was Spanish landowners. And it's really a really crazy movie. And yeah, that's basically the whole movie. This is definitely much more. It's right up there with Samuel Fuller's other works, but it really doesn't have too much of the grittiness. It just has as for plot wise, it feels a lot more like Pick Up on South Street, where you kind of have to pay attention to every detail. And I think that's probably the one movie I could compare this to is Pick Up on South Street. Outside of that, again, Vincent Price is great. This may be a short one because again, I don't really have much else to say. It's a bit of a confusing movie. It's one of those movies that again you have to pay attention, and even with me watching it, I tended to get a little lost, especially toward the middle. At the same time, it's worth a rewatch because Price is awesome. I think spoiler alert, I think the best scene was Vincent Price's passionate speech to the city when they're about to string him up. They're about to hang him toward the end. And he ends up getting he's found out as a fraud and all that, and he gives him this impassioned speech and this fear in his eyes, and it's a really fantastic speech, and that was probably the high point of the movie for me. That being said, I feel like I wasn't sure how to feel about Ellen Drew's portrayal of Sophia Peralta Rivas, who becomes the baronet, who's the young girl that early in her life, Rivas convinces her that she's the Baroness of Arizona, and so she grows up believing this, and he ends up marrying her so that he becomes the Baron of Arizona, and so on and so forth. And I don't know, even when it's just, I don't know, maybe it's her portrayal or just her character, but that whole section of the plot really threw me off. I wasn't a fan of her just sort of forgiving him for everything. You know, even though he swindled all these people, and you know, it just didn't really work for me. And so that was the only kind of side that I didn't understand. And at the end of the movie, when he's, you know, he does his time, she still wants him to, you know, she still forgives him. For some reason, she loves him, and I don't know, maybe that's because she took care of him when she was a little kid, and yeah, that's the creepy side of it too, you know. He comes back all these years later and he says, "Am I too old for you?" And she's like, "No, no, you did all these nice things for me, and I'm still gonna marry you now that, you know, I'm old enough, and you're oldest enough, you know." So yeah. So anyway, The Baron of Arizona. It's definitely one of Fuller's weirder movement. I think it's probably, well, compared to, you know, I'd say it's probably, if we were ranking these, I'd say it's probably right between The Naked Kiss and Shock Corridor, this one. Where probably Shock Corridor is probably his weakest, and then Baron of Arizona, Naked Kiss, and then the rest we'll talk about in the next video, which is coming up soon, just a second. Anyway, yeah, so Baron of Arizona, interesting, still a good movie, not his best. Price is fantastic, but outside of that, there's not much else to say. I'm giving this one, I mean, right now, just from initial, and I'm probably going to pick up this set. And I'll maybe give this one a better, I'll rewatch this one in later years and all that good stuff. But right now, just from initial watching, I'm going to give this one a B+. It's good, but I feel like it just loses something somewhere along the road. And the thing about this, while it's based on a true story, a lot of the movie is fictionalized for, I guess, movie purposes. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it's a good movie. Baron of Arizona, B+. I'd check it out, you know, just at least for Vincent Price. To see Vincent Price as something different than horror, you know. So, good stuff. B+. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. And surprise, this is no April Fool's joke. We have yet another review coming up right after this. Steel Helmet. I was able to watch both of these today. So you will see the review for that one in just a little bit. I'll be uploading this while I'm recording this probably. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a couple for the Steel Helmet. And until then, goodbye.